Good morning. This is Richard Hsu, host of Hsu Untied. This morning, I'm really thrilled and honored to have with me as my guest Daljit Doogal, who's the chairman and CEO of Foley and Lardner. Daljit, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you, Richard. I'm happy to be here.
Well, Daljit, I know we've been trying to schedule this for a while. I guess you're not new in your role so much anymore, but tell me a little bit about what kind of practice you had before you took on this management role.
It's been about 8, 9 months now. So I've been we just finished our my first fiscal year in this role on January 31st. But prior to assuming this role, I had done a lot of different things within Foley. I was traditionally I'm a corporate M&A attorney. Done a lot of work in the manufacturing space,
Mhm.
some work in the life sciences space also, with a particular focus on automotive. I'm in our Detroit office and grew up in Michigan and kind of came back to practice in Michigan. So that's, you'll see a lot of as you can imagine, a lot of the automotive work in this market. So I've, done a lot of automotive M&A, working with private equity funds, large corporations, and strategic acquisitions for them over the years. Then, over time, I was the managing partner of the Detroit office for a little while and got some more exposure to the firm and leadership roles. And from there, I transitioned into being the head of our corporate group nationally several years ago, and was in that role for about 5 years before I stepped onto the firm's board of directors. And then recently last year was appointed as the CEO of the firm.
Hmm. Well, now, usually being the chair of a law firm is not usually people's career aspirations, most lawyers. What made you decide that this is something you want to do? Most people, don't want that job.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
what made
yeah,
you decide to take it?
I will tell you, yes, for sure, that was not my career aspiration. I did not come into law thinking someday I was going to be a chairman or CEO of a law firm. I would say, what made me take it? Yeah, when your partners and your firm and people that you really like and trust and work hard with over the years ask you to take on a role, it's exciting because it's really, in this role, I'm working for the firm and working for our people in this organization. So when they ask you to do something like that, it's an honor, and I felt honored to be asked to do it. And I felt like that's something I can do to give back to our law firm that I've been at for 22 years and had a great time. The firm's been really good to me, and it's an opportunity for me to give back to the firm. And when you've been here so long and you like the people and you trust the people, and luckily over the years I've had exposure to the firm, not just been, doing my M&A work. I've had the opportunity to travel, get to know people, develop relationships with people in the firm. It was an honor to be asked. So it was something I wasn't going to turn down.
Mhm. Now, are you practicing law or this is your full-time job?
I am practicing law still.
Oh, okay.
I think
Uh-huh.
two reasons. One, I enjoy it. Like you
Uh-huh.
said, it wasn't my career aspiration to be in this role, and I got into the law, and I love doing it. I
Uh-huh.
love practicing, so I'm still doing it. I have to be a little bit more select about what matters I take on and what I do, because my responsibility is to the firm in my role right now. But I enjoy it. I've got some select clients that you've been doing work for them for 20 years, right? And then they want you around. They trust me and they trust our firm, but I want to be there for them. And also, I think it's good for me because it keeps me in touch with the day-to-day practice of the law. And if I'm leading an organization that's a law firm, it's good for me to be in touch with some of the things that go on a day-to-day basis, so I can resonate with people more when we think about challenges or we think about what's going on in the marketplace and things like that. If I'm still practicing and got my foot in the water, I think it's important for me and my credibility in the role.
Now, even though you've been at the firm, you said 20 something years after you took on this chair, did you find that there was still a lot more about Foley that you really didn't know, or that you learned, that maybe were not as focused on before when you were a full-time practicing lawyer?
I think so because even though I knew the firm pretty well, you look at it from a different lens, right? When I'm a practicing lawyer, I look at it from the lens of being able to talk to clients about services we can offer, right? And now in this role, I'm really looking at the business of the law, right? And I'm
Mhm.
looking at it with a more macro level of where's the economy heading, how are we well positioned for that, where are we strategically versus my particular practice strategically, what are we doing in all different areas of the firm. So getting a handle on all of our capabilities in all those different areas and trying to understand how we maximize how we approach the market in those areas was different and exciting, because it's new. And as lawyers, and this, we like to learn, right? We like to evolve and learn new things. It keeps things exciting. But yeah, there was a lot, and especially on the business side of things, I didn't really get into, working with our CFO, our business development and marketing people, our talent people, so the business professional side of things. There was an area of the law firm that is absolutely critical to the operations of an organization, that it's been fun to get to know them better and know what they do and help work with them strategically on how to elevate our position within the organization. But that was an area I just didn't know as much about.
Mhm. Now, do you feel like after 8 or 9 months now, you're pretty much up to speed, or you're still kind of on that curve now? What do you how are you feeling right now?
I think you're always on the curve. If you ever you're in trouble. So I feel like I have a good understanding of what we're doing in those areas. I would say I've developed a good relationship with all the people that are leading that, and I think
Uh-huh.
that's very important to develop relationships with people, because if you're gonna help be a part of leading an organization, you got to have good relationships with your people. So I think I feel good that I was able to accomplish that this year. We have talent, so many talented people, right? And now I think is a focus on, yes, I do know what we're doing, but now all of us working together to try to keep elevating ourselves in those areas. And I think that's, the way I look at my focus going into this year is we've done, we've got great people, great things that we're doing, and now let's think more strategically about how we can continue to move forward. So I feel good about the relationships and who we have, and now it's a matter of trying to figure out how we all can continue to evolve. That you have to, you can never be complacent.
What would you say you enjoy most about this new job or this new role that you have in the firm?
I think it's twofold. One, I guess is the easy answer, is all the great people, right? It's you just, it's interesting. You sit there, and we all do this, right? We sit behind our desk, we work, we think about what we're doing, on a day-to-day basis. And sometimes that gets frustrating because you're just thinking about strategy, you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. And then you go out and visit the offices, and it just makes you feel so good when you walk the halls, you see the people and the energy and the excitement and the culture that you have within an organization. It just feels good, right? So that's very exciting. I think what I am enjoying also is being able to think farther down the road.
Mm,
Because what is the law firm of the future going to look like?
mm.
What's 5 years from now going to look like? Not just, when I was practicing and doing things, you're sort of doing that short-term focus about what's this year going to look like? What are you doing? How are we doing this, that, and the other? Now my role is to think more strategically and look more short, long term, and long term, and see how this industry evolves. It's a competitive industry. It's a great industry, but the changes are happening, and I enjoy that because it's a focus on the future and a strategy that kind of, that's a little different than what I used to do. So I've really enjoyed that.
One of the questions that I always wonder about with any CEO of any large organization, whether it's law or business, is, how do you prioritize? Because there's so many things you could be working on. I mean, any day you could be doing, you could be thinking about strategy, be working on trying to get clients. I mean, there's just so many things. How do you prioritize, what every day you need to do?
My wife asks me the same question every day. You gotta prioritize the family life too in there too, right?
Well, there's that
Uh,
too. Exactly. How do you
uh,
prioritize these
it's
things?
it's difficult. It's hard because there's so much coming at you. There's so much you want to do, and that's another challenge that I've had to kind of shift my focus on, because I could work 24/7 on this, right?
Sure,
You have
totally.
sleepless nights where you wake up in the middle of the night thinking, "Oh, we could do this, we could do that." All these great ideas popping through your head. And I can work all the time, and my wife will tell you I do. Um, but I think the way you prioritize it is just having the trust in your people around you, and that was a focus for me in this first year, was just getting to know everybody that's in our leadership team, who I've known a lot of them over the years, but just how great that team is. And like anything in life, you've got to learn to let go and trust your people around you. But when you're comfortable, you have the right people around you, it's easier to do, right? So you have to develop those relationships with people, and I think that's how I prioritize it. I think it's tough, and it was very tough this first year because I am used to being in the weeds. I'm used to being involved in everything, all right? And then to be able to step back and say, okay, I got to let go of that a little bit. I got to trust this person to run with this and just kind of take myself to a higher level on certain things. it's an adjustment. But I think the way I do it is, feeling so comfortable about my team around me that I can. I have to learn to trust, and I think I'm starting to do that a lot more. But you can't do that until you to know the people. Yeah, it goes both ways. They've got to get to know me
Mhm.
better and have a trust level in me, and I've got to get to know them better and have a trust level in them. And I feel like we accomplished that this past year.
Now, turning to a topic that's of somewhat importance to me is, so how involved are you? Are you involved much in recruiting? Is that something that's important for you as your role in chair? Tell me a little about your involvement in that.
Yeah, I am, and I'm trying to be a little bit more front and center in that because it's important. Growth in an organization is important, and we've had some experiences together, which have been great. And
Mhm.
I think it's important. Our people are important. That's one of my biggest focuses: our people and our culture and our law firm. And I'm sure we'll talk about business, like, which is important too, right? And
Yeah.
growing demand and growing business and working with your clients. But people in a service business like ours, it's the people, right? And so I really try to get involved in recruiting, trying to be more strategic about the type of needs we have, whether it's on a skill set level or if it's, part of our business plan in terms of areas of growth for us. And I try to be upfront, as part of the process, because there's so many great firms in this country and so many opportunities that people have. They've got to get a good feel for the firm. And I think every firm will be out there talking about culture, and every firm has its culture and good
Yeah.
culture, right? But for me to get a little bit more active in recruiting and be, a little front and center with our recruits, I think it's important because they've got to get a sense from my seat what I see out of the firm and where I see the direction of the firm. And all too often, I think some chairmen come in later in the game.
Mhm.
My philosophy is really to kind of come up, a little bit, earlier in the process to give people a feel for our firm and see if there's a good fit.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Is recruiting something you enjoy doing? Not every chair enjoys recruiting.
Oh, if you had asked me 15 years ago, would I enjoy it? I would have said no way, but I do. It's strange, I mean, we just had a attorney retreat, all our attorney retreat for ourselves back in October, and at to stand up in front of 1,100 people in the firm, that would have scared me years ago.
Mhm.
To do something like that, it still scared me, but it was, I enjoyed it because it's you get the feel for people and things. But yes, I actually do enjoy it. I enjoy going out and meeting with people, talking about them. You learn something from every experience you have with somebody, whether it works out or not. It's enjoyable because I feel like I walk away, and you and I met, last week and spent some time together. You just walk away learning things, and I love that. If it's not, it's whether how our firm is viewed in that marketplace. If I'm in a different marketplace, I'm talking to people. Whether it works or not, I come away learning something, and that really is satisfying to me.
Mhm, mhm. Well, what would you say a couple of strategic priorities that are kind of important right now that you're working on? I realize there's probably a very long list, but if you had to pick just a couple, maybe, what would they be?
Yeah, I think what I would say is first and foremost is continuing to evolve our talent. It's important to not only be out there recruiting the best talent, but you got to retain them and you also got to develop them. So investing in our people is an area that we're very focused on because you want them to grow within the organization. This is everybody, attorney, business professionals, everyone in our organization. And we want to recruit the best people, but we also want to retain them. And while they're here, we want to make sure that they have good careers, and investing in their career and not just planning for attrition of people, just really kind of investing in people and hoping that we retain them. That's area one of focus. Another area of focus is making sure that we, focus on areas. We are a full service firm. We do a lot of different things, but there are four areas of our firm that our firm is really well known in and really deep in, which is healthcare, life sciences, manufacturing, energy, and technology. So making sure that we continue to grow in that area. And that part of that is, getting out in front of clients and letting them know what our capabilities are in that area so we can grow more work, quite frankly, right? It's a competitive world and we want to be sure we use our depth and experience in that area to grow market share. So focusing in on that, making sure we continue to build our bench of talent in those areas so that we have all the expertise that a client in that sector would need to help service them. The other part that we're really focused on, and this is probably an age-old issue for all law firms, is innovation. How can we not be that old school law firm that and moving into the new age with terms of what we're using on the innovative tools? I don't have all the answers for that, right? There's two sides to it. Is what tools can we bring to our clients that make their lives better and are more innovative for them, so we can service them better and they can actually do their job better too. And then the internal efficiencies. How do we fix some of the inefficiencies that law firms have always had, and make our lives more easier on a day-to-day basis for us to practice law, do our job, whether it's the assistants or the business professionals, what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, and capture data. I think law firms in general, in my experience, some probably do it better than others, aren't as good about capturing the data and what they're doing as an organization, and being able to present that and learn about those little things that we could be missing out on because we didn't know exactly what we were doing internally, and capturing our experience of what we do. We've got 1,200 lawyers that have a vast amount of experience. Sometimes harnessing that all in one spot and figuring out what we've been doing is tough. So focusing on that innovative side of the business of law is something that we are trying to focus on too.
Are you having fun in this job? Do you ever get to have fun in this job?
I do. It is fun. I mean, maybe you can ask me 3 years from now how I feel, but today I'm still in my honeymoon period. It's good. I'm enjoying. I am enjoying it. It's fun. It's great people. I'm still getting to practice some law, and also it's exciting to be able to think about the future of this law firm, and where we go. We're 180 years old. It's a firm that's been around for a while, and sometimes there's a lot of pressure, right? To make sure that we're all heading in the right direction. But it is fun. I'm definitely enjoying it.
Well, Daljit, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy. I'd love to check in with you in 3 or 4 years and hear how it's going. But I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate you asking me to be on this, and I'll enjoy getting to know you too. So.
This is Richard Hsu and Daljit Doogal. Thanks.